Okay, I'm good.
Hey, hey, everybody. Welcome. It is time for our Tuesday live stream, the time of the week where we go live inside of our virtual assistant Savvy's Facebook community, which is now over 100,000 members. Crazy town. We go live on our Facebook page and over on YouTube. Just a time for us to hang out all as a community and talk about a topic that is relevant to you guys as you're launching, growing, scaling your business. We also usually do a Q&A time, and it's really just a time for us to hang out, chat, and dive into a topic that is going to help you succeed in your business, which we are so excited as we wrap up 2022. I'm like, are you like more, let me know in the comments, are you more like, oh man, like, yeah, I'm neutral about 2023, or are you like, no, like let's do it. Neutral, let's do it. Sad. I'm like, let's do it, because 2022 was not a great year for us. Man, we had family members passing, we had just a lot of personal stuff going on, we had some sickness, we had just some crazy stuff. I don't know if you guys know, but like we were in like this lawsuit from an RV that we rented back in 2020 that was like a nightmare. We had so much happening that we're like, goodbye 2022. How are you, Rachel? How are you feeling about the new year?
I am excited. Like, let's turn the page. Let's move on to the next year. I had somebody actually tell me the other day, like, you remember 2020? Like, this is 2022. Like, 20 over again times 2. And I feel the
Seriously.
same way. Like, there were things that came across our plates that we never saw coming. We're ready to close the chapter. Let's move on to 2023 for new and exciting things, for sure.
100%. So, today we are going to be talking about how to overcome the fear of failure. And if there's one thing that's going to prevent you from reaching your goals in 2023, it's fear. So let's nip it in the bud right now. Let's talk about how, from my experience, from Rachel's experience, both building our own VA businesses, how were we able to get past that fear in order to find success? And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. I don't know if we've introduced ourselves in a while, so let's go ahead and do that quick. Hi, I'm Abby Ashley. I am the CEO and founder of The Virtual Savvy. We train virtual assistants to launch, grow, and scale their businesses from scratch. We help you provide that freedom lifestyle for yourself by building a business that you love with the skills you already have. It's something I'm so deeply passionate about. And I'm joined by my wonderful co-teacher, Rachel. Rachel, why don't you introduce yourself to everyone?
Hey y'all, my name is Rachel Dorsey. I am the VP of Product here at the Virtual Savvy. I started my own virtual assistant business by purchasing our signature course that we offer here, Savvy System. I did that in 2017. I launched, grew, and scaled my own virtual assistant business, joined the team in 2018, and now I get to interact with y'all as students and members of our products and our community and get to support you each step of the way inside of your journey. And the topic of today, if facing your fear, comes across the table all the time, no matter what stage of business you're in, whether you're just kind of discovering virtual assistants and what that means, or whether you're looking at completely scaling your business. We all face those fears, and we want to kind of talk through that in today's live.
Yeah, I feel like entrepreneurship is synonymous with just doing scary things. So get used to it. It's okay. But here's the thing, is that it's like, I've learned I'm naturally kind of not a tough-skinned person, I would say. But man, entrepreneurship, because it's one of those things that one of the things that we say here a lot at the Virtual Savvy is be bold. And boldness is a muscle, and it's something that can be built over time. And how is a muscle built? It's under tension, right? It's like by practicing it over and over and over and doing that same thing over and over and over is a muscle that can be built. And boldness is a muscle that can be built over and over and over doing that same action. And then I'm really into weightlifting, so like you have to feed it protein too. And I think that like that the protein is like the truth, and that's what we're going to talk about today, is like continually feeding yourself with things like truth and community and support. And so we're going to dive into all of it today. But facing the fear of failure, we get it. It's one of the number one things, like Rachel mentioned. So we're going to dive right in. Before we do, Rachel, tell everyone what we've got coming up in just a few weeks.
I'm so stoked about this. So we are going to be launching our VA Startup Challenge. The link is down below. Make sure you sign up so that you get notified of all of the exciting things happening. But if you are here and you're just kind of looking at starting your own virtual assistant business in the new year, this is the challenge for you. And this is going to be a challenge where we not only kind of walk you through some of the things to begin with, you are going to actually take action and do some of the things. We want to give you some really quick wins right from the beginning so that you can face those fears and have that confidence to move forward as you get ready to launch your own virtual assistant business. And if you're here as a veteran and you maybe even already have a virtual assistant business, you still can find value inside this challenge as well. So don't think of it as only for those beginners, although we really want you to come if you're a beginner. Even if you're a veteran, you're going to find value inside of this challenge too. So sign up and plan to join us in January for that challenge.
Yes, 100%. It's going to be good. We're going to be talking about how to figure out what skills you can offer in your business. We're going to be talking about how to market those skills. We're going to be really teaching some of our time methods for how are you going to find the time to do this amidst your already crazy lives, because y'all got a lot going on. So we're going to jump into how to overcome the fear of failure. But speaking of a lot going on, we have to know first, are you done? Are you done with your Christmas shopping? Rachel, are you done?
I am here to say, for the first year ever in my life that I can remember, I am 100% done with my Christmas shopping. No last Amazon orders, and everything bonus is wrapped and under the tree.
You are the poster child for well, major gold stars. I am going shopping today. There are several things that I'm praying get here on time from Amazon. I am definitely, I don't think I've ever been this last minute. We don't have a single gift wrapped, not even one. I will be staying up late on Christmas Eve, and you know what? That's just totally fine.
Now, but last I chatted with you about this, your tree wasn't up. Is your tree up?
Our tree is finally up, and we put ornaments on it this morning.
Great. This is a step in the right direction.
It's in time. You know what? It's been 2022. Like we said, we're closing the book. It's been a year, but that's fine. Oh yeah, Kay says she finished last night. Well done, Gail. You are done too. You guys are way more ahead of it than me. All right, let's dive right in because we want to talk about, again, the number one thing that we, after training over 5,000 students have gone through our program, which is insane, and the hundreds of thousands of people in our community who, you know, haven't necessarily gone through our program, but we've been along this journey with them. The number one thing that we find VAs get tripped up again over and over and over aren't external things necessarily. It's not like, oh, I couldn't find clients, or I couldn't you know, like I had this, I couldn't find the funds for this, or I couldn't whatever. 99% of the time, it's what's happening in their own brain, right? It's like it's usually not an external force that's stopping them from achieving whatever their goal is. It's an internal thing. And so this is what we find over and over again. So Rachel and I got together and we chatted through this live stream, and we were like, let's really dive into not just what helped us, but what we have seen has helped these students. The students have gone from fearful, because it's every one of us, right? Like it's you're not alone in your fear, which I think is a really important thing to acknowledge, that every single one of us face it when it comes to starting our own business, that every one of us face it. You're not alone in it, but there are people who have proven time and time again, man, I can get past it. I can work through it, right? So that's what we're going to be chatting about today. Anything else before we jump into the 3 ways?
No, let's jump in. Let's go.
Yeah. There's this song that, like, an old kid song. I don't know if you guys have heard it. It's like, we're going on a bear hunt. We're going on a bear hunt. I got my binoculars. I'm not scared. And then it's like, there's a swamp. And then you go, we can't go under it. We can't go over it. We're just going to have to go through it. And Literally, like, there's been so many scary and just hard things that we've personally faced, like, myself and my family this past year, and it's so silly, it's a kid's song, but it's something that I've been saying, like, my husband and I both have been saying it, we're like, "Can't go over it, can't go under it, we're
Mm,
just gonna have to go through it," and that's literally what I think of when it comes to, you've got this bear hunt, you've got, like, your goal, and it's like, we're not going to be able to circumvent. Like, you're not just going to have to, oh, I'll just go over here and pretend that fear's not
mhm.
here. No, like, we're going to go through it. And so that's what we're going to talk about today is how you can practically do that. And the number one step, Rachel,
Number one step is to name it.
name it. What does that mean?
I think well, and you kind of alluded to it a second ago, is that it's all in our heads, right? And so often we've seen it time and time again, is that we're afraid of the unknown. We don't know what it's going to look like. What is it going to look like when I do tell people on social media that I'm doing this? When I do tell my friends that I'm going to do this? When I send that first proposal? Like, there's so much fear behind the unknown, and that's legit. Like, I get that for real. Okay. The best thing that we can do is we can identify that we're afraid, that we have that fear, but to name it.
Yeah.
And not just in a general sense, in a very specific sense. And as we talk about the next two steps after this one, you're going to see why it's so important that we just identify what it is that we are afraid of or fearful of when we're
Yeah.
looking at facing those fears.
100%. It's why I'm such a huge fan of journaling, you guys. I used to have like these big fancy journals and stuff, and recently I've just started getting these little flimsy whatever things off of Amazon, and it's just plain white paper because then I don't feel so this becomes like my place for ideas and for notes and for journaling. And then if it's just like my kids' drawings and scribbles or whatever, I don't feel bad ripping it out. But I have these all over the place because I really, for me, naming a fear, it's not just like a, oh yeah, I know what it is. I don't know if you guys are that way. If you're like, oh, I know what my fear is, drop it in the chat. Like let's be open and honest here because that's how we're gonna get to the next place. But like for me, a lot of times I actually have to sit with it. I'm like, I have all the feelings of fear, and I'm like, I don't actually know what I'm afraid of. And until I like take the time to just sit in it
Yeah.
and be like, what am I actually afraid of? Like what is actually stopping me from doing this? And I like sit with it a second and like you said, name it, identify it. It's not just this unknown thing. I can actually say, oh no, this is what I'm afraid of, and this is what I think will happen. Yeah, Hazel said getting out of your head is a bit challenging at times. 100% agree. What do you that fear of the unknown, like what have you seen, Rachel, that like I don't know, what is it that people like are scared of generally? Is it just the unknown? Is there something like that they think is beyond like when they dive in more is beyond that?
Yeah, and that kind of brings us to the next point too. A little bit, we'll talk about this, but we really have to get to the root of the issue to
Mhm.
be able to take action. And when we're starting this new thing, okay, for many of you and for many of our students, when we get to that point of starting this new thing, we don't know what's around the corner. We
Yeah.
don't have control in this moment of what's around the corner, and that lack of control, that lack of knowing, that lack of understanding, that lack of not being able to really develop a step by step plan can be very intimidating and
Yeah.
can be very scary and cause us to be fearful. Sometimes so much in the fact that we're not going to say yes to ourselves to step into this journey because we don't know what it looks like on the other side.
Yes. 100%.
Sometimes even within that, and I've said this before, is that we have seen our students almost afraid of being successful
Mhm.
versus being afraid of not being successful because of the unknown factor. Like
Yeah.
what if I step out and what if I get 10 clients, within the first few months? What am I going to do? Well, you're going to celebrate and you're going to figure it out because that's why you're here. And if you
Yeah.
don't get those 10 clients, you're going to figure it out because you're here and you want this to happen. So it's really kind of the unknown, the uncertainty, and not being able to control or know what the circumstances are going to be so that they can take action.
100%.
Mm,
So if we've named it, if we've identified it, oh yeah, it's fear of failure, it's fear of success, or it's fear
mhm,
of just the response. Like, I remember that being like, what if I get a bunch of clients and I'm not responsible enough to handle this? Or like
mhm.
I'm gonna drop the ball, or
Right.
or I'm not gonna be a good steward. Like that was a big thing for me. Like, what if this
Mhm.
financially changes our family dynamic and I don't handle it well? Like that was a really big responsibility for me too, because I had always been um I don't know, like really hyper aware of how I handled my money. And I was like, how, am I going to be a good steward? So I think there was a lot of that. So once you've kind of named it, the second step is to face it. And so this is one of the things that I talk about a lot is the idea of fear, whatever it is, like it's scariest when it's behind you, right? Like it's like like fear is scariest when it's looming. It's why I don't go into like I do not do haunted houses. Halloween
No,
time,
me
I am like, I don't watch scary movies. I ain't about that game. I'm like, fear, like, I'm not gonna like being scared is like the worst feeling ever. I'm not gonna willingly put myself in that
neither. Right.
situation. Some people love them. I hate it. But and the thing is that like you go into a haunted house, like if all the lights were on and those people were just standing and it was more like a museum, you would just walk by and be like, "Peh," like it's kind of funny, right? Like
Right.
what makes it scary is that it's looming, is that it's hiding behind
Mhm.
things, is that you can't
Mhm.
see it. And
Yeah.
so the idea of like I'm going to face this means I'm going to take it from being this looming thing and I'm going to put it right in front of my face and I'm going to look at it. It's literally face your fear means put it in front of your face, right? And look straight at it, because when you do that, you're putting it in front of you, not behind you. You can actually deal with it appropriately. It's much smaller, right? Like the the scary thing behind the corner waiting out to jump at you with the lights off on Halloween is actually just like a
Mhm.
14-year-old kid with braces getting paid $8 an hour. Like it's like not actually that scary when you look at it, right? Do you like
Right.
my Halloween analogies around Christmas? I
Good.
don't know.
That's good. Yeah, and that's why it's so important, okay? Just like I said earlier, is that that first step of naming it and truly understanding what it is of the fear that you're facing, whether it be being successful or failing or putting yourself out there and announcing to your friends and family or social media that you're doing
Mhm.
this thing. Name that fear and then you can face it. You have to get to the root of the issue to be able to take action against it. And I know, Abby, I think we wrote a couple questions down. Like you want to kind of like an onion, right? Peel back the layers. Why am I afraid of this?
Yeah.
Why am I afraid of getting 10 clients right away? Why am I afraid of announcing on social media that I'm doing this? Why am I afraid to have this conversation with my partner or my spouse that I want to do this for
Yeah.
myself and for our family? And peeling back the onions so that when the layers, right? So that when you get to the root of the issue, that's when you can face it, put it right in front of you, and take action against it.
Yeah, we're seeing some really good thank you guys. Like there's something so amazing when you guys are like, I'm just gonna put my fear
Mhm.
like in the comments, because to me that's like one, it's naming it, it's facing it,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
two, like you guys have no idea. There's 50 people watching this live stream right now, and probably hundreds more that will come back and watch it after the fact. And then being able to see your fears is like, oh, I'm not alone. And there is something so freeing
Mhm.
about knowing that you're not alone in your fears. Like that alone can be a game changer to be like, oh, it's not just me. Like I
Mhm.
thought I was the only one that felt this way. So Gail saying like, I'm afraid I don't have enough skills. Like
Yeah.
that is one of the most common ones that
Mhm.
comes up. And it's common because lots of people
Yep.
experience it, because we all have that imposter syndrome, kind of like, oh, what if what I have to offer isn't enough? What if I'm not enough? Like that. Yep, we get it and we see it time and time again. Kay says spending the money at not working out, disappointing my husband. Like I get that, and that love that you have for him to be able to be like, man, I want you to be proud of me. And what happens if this doesn't work out? Not working in corporate, or not
Oh,
being
that's a good one.
adequate. Yep.
Mhm.
Oh my
I
goodness, you
I
guys.
experienced that fear myself, Tiffany. When I started my own virtual assistant business, I had been a teacher and loved teaching, but then I came home because we had children and I was a stay at home mom. And I had never, the Savvy system was the first online course purchase I'd ever made. I was afraid it was a scam. Like I had no idea, but I knew in my gut I wanted to do something for myself. My fear is that I'm going to waste my money. I've not ever done anything online like this before, but I named it, I faced it, and I was able to work through that. And we want the same thing for you.
100%. This one I really resonate with. Ashley, I struggle knowing I have a majority of the skills. I'm worried that I'm not good enough. I'll have a hard time balancing between building a business and being a good mom to my 4 kiddos. That was a big one to me. Like, if I'm saying yes to this, what am I saying no to?
Mhm.
And the idea of that being my kids, I was not okay with. I was like, no, like I'm gonna do this to be with my kids more.
Yeah.
And that was really scary to me, knowing that I get a lot of zeal and momentum and focus and drive into things when I really get excited about them. I'm like, what if that causes me to say no to other important things in my life? So you guys, this is literally this is gold that you are each putting this in the comments. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So after you ask your question, why am I afraid of this? Because that's exactly what you're putting in the comments. The next question, I'm gonna type it. You say it, I'll type it.
Okay. Why do I not want to experience this or my worst case scenario? Why do I not want to experience this? That's a
So
really good question.
I know. So like to me, the fear is, and some of you guys have even said it, like we not only like face your fear, which is what we're talking about, but sometimes you have to follow your fear. Okay. So just stay with me for a second, because in order to really face it, you have to know, what are you actually scared of? And so some of the things that you guys have even said, like, if I, I fear that I'm not going to have enough skills.
Mhm.
So then like the question I would ask is, and then what?
Mhm.
And then what? Like, what would actually happen? And trust me, we're gonna get to the part where we where we combat it with
Yeah.
truth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Don't shut off the live stream right now. Like,
Right.
it's coming, but it is a really, like, I think for me, facing a fear is not just like being like, oh no, that's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. That's the we're going on a bear hunt. We're just gonna go around it, over it, under it. We're not gonna, no, like, you gotta go through it. You gotta actually face it and know what you're actually afraid of. And that way you can actually
Yeah.
face the fear with truth. And so for me, it's like, okay, so let's say that you feel like you don't have enough skills and you get into a client situation and you are not able to do what they ask you to do.
Mhm.
Then what?
Yeah.
You know? And a
Mhm.
lot of times when you actually face it, the then what isn't actually that scary. It's the,
Yeah.
what did I say? The 15-year-old boy with braces getting paid $8 an hour. You're like, oh, well, then maybe that client wouldn't want to work with me anymore. And I could get another client. Or I could say, hey, I don't know how to do that. I'm so sorry. But I would love to, dive into a resource like Savvy Vault. Like, I'm taking a course in it right now. And, like, when you actually look at it, you're like, oh, maybe that wouldn't be that bad. So, like, what is your worst case scenario of what could happen? Like, I'm afraid a family member's gonna make fun of me if I fail.
Mhm.
And then what?
Right.
Like, yeah, that would hurt and it would be painful, but, like, are you still okay at the end of the day? Are you
Mhm.
still worthy? Are you still, gifted and talented and worth doing this?
Right.
Yeah, you are.
Absolutely. And if you're just kind of jumping in, what we're doing is we're talking about the steps in being able to overcome the fear. And this face the fear. So the first one was name it, right? We got to be able to name it, call it out, be specific. All right. And then now we're talking through facing it. And to be able to face it, you have to put it right in front of you. I loved the song that Abby brought forward about the bear hunt. Like, we're not going over it, we're not going under it, we're not avoiding it, we're going straight through it and putting that in front of us and peeling back the layers and figuring out why are we so afraid of it, so that when we do that, we can get to the third step, and that's actually to fight it. Like,
Yeah.
okay, now we know what it is. We've put it in front of us. We've kind of peeled back the layers to face it. And now we're going to actually fight it. So what does that look like, Abby? You kind of playing out a little bit a second
Yeah.
ago, but what does that look like to actually fight it?
Yeah. So for me, again, I think the name it and face it are two of the most important parts, because if we
For sure.
jump just straight into fighting it, then you're fighting the looming thing and it's not
Yep.
specific and it's going to creep back up on you again. So I think that like what you guys are doing in the chat is so awesome. Like you're just naming it and I just
Mhm.
love it. So
So
thank
good.
you for being that open and transparent, because that transparency really like I have seen a direct connection with like transparency and boldness. Like if you're willing to be that transparent about your fears, I feel like those are the same people that are willing to be bold,
Yes.
to face them. So thank you, number one. So one of the things that I do on a regular basis, and I've got my little thing here, but I actually don't think I have a pen. But essentially, what I will do is I will just take a blank piece of paper and I will write down my fears on one side, right? Like actually the naming, like I am afraid a client will ask me to do something that I don't know how to do and I will look stupid. I will
Yep.
feel stupid. And I think that adding the and I will feel blank, because for me, a lot of times is like, I don't know. I just don't like being uncomfortable. I don't like feeling stupid. So that's like a big part of why I don't do things. I'm like, I'm going to feel dumb. And it's like, but you're not dumb, right? Okay, we'll get to that. So what this is what I'm afraid of. I am afraid that a client will ask me to do something that I can't do. I am afraid that that I'm going to put myself out there, not get clients, and my family's going to think that I am fill in the blank, right?
Mhm.
I am afraid that I'm going to put so much zeal behind this that I'm going to forget what's important to me, which is my family, and I'm going to neglect them. Like, come
Right.
on, name it. Like, what is the actual fear? Okay. And so we're going to put those things down, and then you're going to draw a line. And then on the other side, so we have fear, and then the other side is going to be truth, right? So, what I want you to do is to actually face those things with truth. Okay. And sometimes it is that what if scenario, like that worst case scenario. The truth is, if, like, let's see, if a client asks me to do something and I don't know how to do it, like I will feel this way. Okay, but the truth of it is, one, like I am still significant. There are other clients that I could get who uh that I can improve my skills, right? Like there are clients who do need the things that I have. The skills that I already have and that I can build upon them, right? So like one client rejecting me does not mean that all clients will reject me. Like there's so many truths that you can say to back up the thing that you're afraid of, right? And I think that going through that with each one of these, like with a family member, if somebody was going to actually be unsupportive, you probably already know who that person is, right? And so like that person's opinion does not define me, right? Like I can surround myself with people who are going to lift me up and are going to believe with me that the weight of that person's opinion won't mean so much, because I'm going to choose to surround myself with people who are going to build me up, right? And so there's so many truths, and not just truths, but like action items, right? That you can do in order to know once that fear creeps in the back of your head, like, oh, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. No, and you like you claim like what the truth is in that situation.
Yeah, that exercise is so, so powerful. And we've recommended it many times. And why is it? Because it works, right? Like once you're able to name and face that fear, then you can fight it with the best thing out there. And that's the truth. And also just kind of not shying away from truth. Some of those fears actually may play out. Some of those worst case scenarios may actually come to life. And a part of fighting that fear is making a plan for what that's going to look like. Right. So like several of the examples that we given, like if I post on social media and somebody is unkind or, disagrees with me or tries to make me feel guilty about doing this, whatever that looks like, what is your plan of attack? Another really good one is the one that you alluded to earlier, Abby, is what if a client comes to me and I don't know how to do this?
Mhm.
That's legit, probably, and may happen to many of you. It happened to myself. I had no idea what this specific platform was. What's my plan of attack? I'm gonna go figure out what it is. I'm gonna be honest. Hey, I've actually never used that before. I'm not sure how to do that, but let me take some time to figure it out. And I promise you, your clients are going to respect you for owning up to that and saying that and being honest with them and with yourself. It's not going to make you look bad or make you look incompetent by any way. It's going to actually make you look competent that, you know what? I don't know it, but I'm going to go figure it out, and figure out how to do the next step in this thing.
Yeah.
So being able to fight it with a plan is going to be one of the best tools that you have in your belt,
Yeah.
when fighting that fear.
For me, I'm not a huge reader, and I know people are everyone who's a huge reader, I'm sorry, I really try. I just have young children, I'm easily distracted. I do like audiobooks. So, but for me, I really love reading. When I read, one of my favorite things to read are biographies or autobiographies
Mm,
of not just entrepreneurs, but just, people in history who have done incredible things. And I think it's really important to remember that, like, you don't read an autobiography of people who just had it easy the whole way. Like,
right.
it's,
Mhm.
like,
Good.
a challenge is part of your story, and
Mhm.
the things that you're facing, or maybe you have faced. Like, I know we had, like, Gianna in the comments commenting about getting fired from a position, and just some wrong things that happen. And, like, I just want to encourage you, Gianna, like, that's part of your hero story, like, that is part of, like, when you read a biography or an autobiography of somebody who has done great things, the
Mhm.
challenges they face is always a part of their story. And so I don't want to, like, dismiss or diminish the pain or the wrongness that happened in that scenario by any means, but also recognizing, like, man, I am here in a sense because that happened. And when you can begin to look at your hardships in that way as, like, man, this is part of the journey that led me to where I am now, and
Mhm.
I'm grateful for where I am now. It can be a total twist. It sounds like that's what you're doing, like, I'm reading your comments, but
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, good. I think too, part of that, um, creating a plan, right? We talked about at the very beginning of naming it. So often we've seen students, and members of our community be afraid of the unknown, right? And not knowing what it's going to look like. And that's why planning out what your response could look like or what that could be is actually practicing facing that fear. So when that scenario does actually play out, you've already faced it, you've already walked through what that could look like, and you're prepared to fight it.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's going to be situations that come up that you did not know and that you're going to have to figure it out in the moment. But if you can recognize some of those scenarios, even right now, name it and face it and practice fighting it, when you get to that position to fight it, you're going to be a whole lot stronger and a whole lot more confident. And you're probably going to face that same fear
Mhm.
sometime in your journey again. We see that over and over again in students that start, grow, and scale their businesses. They face similar fears all the way through their journey.
Yeah, 100%. We call them pre-decisions, right? Like, if you've already named the fear, you've already kind of walked through the worst case scenario, you can make a pre-decision of how you're going to react. And it's like, it's the whole reason why people do, like an athlete actually envisions themselves, like,
Mhm.
Okay, I'm not an athlete, so just bear with me. But like, like you're a basketball player and like you're
Right.
watching you like you're going up to the free throw line because you
Mhm.
were fouled, because I know that.
Yeah.
So you're going up to the free throw line to make a free throw. You're actually like supposed to envision yourself making the shot. Why?
Mhm.
Is because your brain does connect to your body and can actually impact your actions. And so making pre-decisions is carving those neural pathways in order to help you actually make it easier. It's like we'll go back to the October corn maze. You're out of the haunted house, now you're in the corn maze, right? Like you've already carved the path.
Yeah.
If you've carved that path in your mind, made that pre-decision of how I'm going to react in a situation, it's
Mhm.
like you've already carved the path in the cornfield, so it's that much easier to take it now, if that
Mhm.
makes sense. Like it's that much easier to make the decisions, the be bold decisions, if you've already played it out in your mind. And so I do think it's healthy to, make those pre-decisions. Okay, if this happens, here's what I'm going to do. Here's how I'm going to be bold. Here's how I'm going to surround myself with accountability. Here's how I'm going to choose to do it scared. Here's how I'm going to do this, and to go ahead and make those pre-decisions. I had a coach once that this is like so simple, and this might not be revolutionary for anyone else, but for me, it was a game changer, because I fight overwhelm a lot. Like
Mhm.
overwhelm is one of my biggest struggles. Is I can just feel like I'm balancing 100 plates and they're gonna drop, and that somehow that's a reflection on me and my worth. Whoo, let's get open, Abby. And so I'm like balancing all these things and feeling like one of them's gonna drop, and so she told me that we fight overwhelm with a plan. And even something as simple as like my husband and I getting together at night and planning out dinner the next day. If we don't do that, I'll be like, oh, fast food, whatever, and it's like, no, like if we make the pre-decisions, it's just that much easier, to actually follow the plan of health or of boldness or whatever it need be. So fight overwhelm with a plan, make those pre-decisions. It's one of the best ways that you can actually fight, in this scenario.
That's so good, Abby. I was thinking too. I remember watching an interview with a famous Olympic swimmer, right? And that's exactly what he would do before every single race. It wasn't that he was being unfriendly or unsocial. He was focused on making those pre decisions. He's put his headphones on, he'd sit in the same exact chair every single time, and he would literally be swimming the race ahead of time. He'd done it so many times over and over again, but he's sitting there playing through the scenario of what if this happens? What's my plan? What's my plan of attack? What's the next action that I'm going to take? And playing through it so that he had a plan of what that next step was going to be when he had to face it. One of the best ways that you can tackle that fear is to have a plan and practice facing it
Yes.
before it ever happens.
So good. All right, guys. So we've been chatting about how to overcome the fear of failure. The 3 steps are to name it, to
Mhm.
face it, and to fight it.
Mm,
Oh,
so
this has
good.
been such a good discussion.
Yeah.
Let's do this. We have a few minutes left. We usually hang out here for a little, almost an hour. So, if you guys have any questions, we can do like a quick Q&A. We can talk more about this subject.
Mm.
We can talk about whatever is pressing you right now in your business. What is your next struggle? Like if you think about where you want to be in your business and where you are now, what's stopping you from getting there? Is it just time? Is it information? Is there like I physically don't know how to get from here to there? Is it a mindset or a fear thing? Like let's talk about it. Drop your questions in the chat.
I
Sometimes
want to just shout out all that are watching live now, and even those that are coming back to watch the replay. If you're watching the replay, like totally engage in the comments, tag us, let us know. But you guys are being vulnerable and you're being honest and you're sharing your journey. And it's so encouraging for us to see that, for others that are reading that as well. So shout out to y'all who are participating in the comments. It's absolutely phenomenal.
Yep. And as you guys are dropping your questions in the chat, I want to remind you, if you didn't catch the very beginning of the live stream, we do have a 3-day challenge coming up that I'm so pumped about. This is brand new content. We've never done this challenge before, and it's going to be really, really good. So what we're doing is we are taking 3 days we're everyone has like your New Year's resolutions, your goals, all of that, but we also have many of us kids at home still or
Mhm.
whatever. We got to get some stuff in order. So we were like, we're going to plan our challenge a few weeks into January. So I think it's like the third week of January. We are doing this 3-day challenge where we are going to help you launch your business in 3 days. Sorry, I have a new office. Can you hear the? It's I'm right over the garage, so my husband is like leaving the house, and you can like kind of hear it, and that's funny.
It's totally good.
This is like new challenges of a new office. So this 3-day challenge, we're going to be talking about finding time for your business, right? Like that
Mhm.
fear of I'm like afraid of, what's going to happen with my kids if I'm working a full-time job and doing this. Like, how do I spin all the plates, right? Like, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about, do I have the skills? And we're really going to dive in. And by the end of the challenge, you're going to figure out what skills do you have that you can
Mhm.
market, that clients are willing to pay now for,
Yep.
and what skills do I potentially want to add on as I go into the future based off of my personality, things like that. And then we're going to talk about marketing, because I even saw one of the questions popping up that we can talk about is, my where to find clients, right? Jasmine says where to find clients. My biggest fear that's stopping me is not being able to find clients. So
Mhm.
that's one of the things that we can chat about a little bit here, but that is going to be covered in full detail
Mhm.
during this challenge as well. So it's going to be a really, really good time. Make sure, make sure you join.
Yes, sign up. I think what I love about what we're putting together inside of the challenge is that we understand where you are right now. We hear it all the time, whether you're a 9 to 5 or whether you're a stay-at-home parent, whether you're in corporate, all the things. Like we hear you and we know where you're at, and we want to help you start your VA journey right where you're at. And it's possible. You don't have to wait until you learn a new skill. You don't have to wait until you quit your 9 to 5 and find the time to do it. We're going to show you you actually can start exactly where you're at. Then that's what I'm so, so excited about.
Yes, 100%. So let's jump into a couple of the questions that we have here.
Absolutely.
Jasmine's question first, where do I find clients? Well, number one, we are going to be going deep into the subject in the challenge. So that's the first thing that I would say too. But let's talk about the very first activity that we have our Savvy System students. If you guys don't know, we have a program called the Savvy System. We've been running it since 2016. It used to be called the VA Boot Camp. We've rebranded it to be called the Savvy System over the past few years.
Mhm.
It is a everything you need to start a business, and it launches again in January, actually just following up from that challenge. And we have one activity that we have people our students do
Mhm.
right when they start their business. Do you want to tell? Because I think it's one of the very I think it's the best starting place. It's not the only marketing strategy, but it's one of the first best starting places for getting clients for your business.
I hope we're thinking on the same vein. And if
I
I'm
think
not,
we
okay. Okay, one of the first questions that we even ask you as you're looking towards marketing yourself, I know that sounds really scary. Just hear me out for a second. Is do you know somebody that owns a business? Yes or no? Your circle can be a powerful connection point for you to get started. And even if maybe you can't think of somebody that you can like reach out and you know that they have your own business, the people within your immediate circle know somebody who owns their own business. And so by reaching out to them and sharing them, we give you a template inside of our Savvy system. I think it's even available on our website. Team, if you can drop that in the comments, I think we have that available for them as well. You just send out this template that we give to you, and you can actually connect with the people in your immediate circle to tell them that you have started your own business and here's what you're going to do. And you cannot believe the success rate that we see from our students when they send that template out and just tell people that this is what you're doing.
Yeah,
Sometimes our students don't even have anything set up. They don't have all their ducks in a row, but they're being bold and they step out and they do that. And they are able to get referrals or possible connections or possible discovery calls just through speaking out that they're going to be starting their own business.
100%. Like the people who already know you, trust you, love you.
Yes.
And some
Mhm.
people are like, I don't have those people. Like most of us have at least one or two people who we could tell hey,
Mhm.
I'm starting a business. They might not be a business owner, but likely they know one person, right? And so you'll see like we get job ops is what we call them, job
Mhm.
opportunities that are posted every single day inside of our VA Savvies community. And that's awesome. And inside of our Savvy system, we teach you how to be like, if hundreds of people are commenting, we teach you how to be the person that stands out. But the
Mhm.
reality is that like, those jobs, there's, maybe 4 or 5 posted a day, and there are 100,000 of you, right? There's a lot of competition there inside of that group. That's just reality. But if you go to a local networking event, or you talk to your friends and family, you talk to the small business owners you already know, many of them don't even know what a virtual assistant
Right.
is yet, you guys, which is like still blows my mind. And then when they hear it, they're like, oh my gosh, like this is what I need, right? And so that act of just simply telling people, hey, here's what I'm doing, let me know, and starting to get the word out there to just your local community is one of the best things that you can do.
Yeah, for sure. And if you go to thevirtualsavvy.com/swag, you can actually get that personal outreach template, and you can download that and you can actually start using that right away. So, oh yeah, Abby's going to type that up, thevirtualsavvy.com/swag, and you can
Yeah,
get that personal outreach template for
yeah,
sure.
there's a lot of goodies there, but that personal outreach template is probably my favorite on that page. Okay, so we had another question about LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is a really great place to find clients too. People are there to network. Like that's the biggest thing. So I think that eventually a really good posting strategy is important on LinkedIn, of like posting your own content, I think is good, but I wouldn't start there.
Yeah.
I would start just like I would on any other platform, with which is relationship building,
Mhm.
right? And so I mean, number one, LinkedIn has a job portal, so you can always be searching actual remote jobs. Now, some of them might not be 1099, sometimes they're contractors, sometimes they're W-2, but LinkedIn is a good place to find remote jobs that get posted on their like little job whatever. So there's that, and then there's just relationship building. I think that it's a great place to connect with people that you've already met in person, right? So if you go to a live networking event, you can connect with them on LinkedIn. A lot of professionals are really open to that. It's also really great because you can search for people who are in a certain industry, right? So I could, I can like not Google, I can like search. I've just like made Google and search synonymous. I can search for people who are CEOs, or I can search
Mhm.
for companies that, are in like the pet industry, or like wedding professionals. And so it's a really good way to do that too. But again, it's all about relationship building.
Mhm.
People are going to respond just to cold pitches that don't have any value or don't have relationship. Like that's, and you're going to get a lot of those on LinkedIn, and you're just going to sit and delete them because that's, it's just not a good strategy. So, anything that I'm missing, Rachel?
No, I think you pulled out a really good point, and this goes across any platform. It can be any of the social media platforms, and we can loop LinkedIn into that. Is that if you show up and show value and start building relationships, building connections, connecting to the people that you want to work with, that's one of the most powerful strategies that you can implement, because they're going to see you, they're going to recognize you. Does it take time? Yes. It's not going to necessarily be a all overnight kind of a thing. Starting your own virtual assistant business is not a get rich quick scheme. Like, it's going to take energy and effort and time, and part of that time may be building relationships. So whatever platform you choose, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, even LinkedIn, you want to make sure that you are looking for opportunities to build relationships versus just creating content. And then always showing up and showing value wherever that is and however that looks. But back to the first thing that we ask you to do, start with the people that you know. Start
Yeah.
with the people in your circle and just start talking about it. Talk about being a virtual assistant. Talk about what you want to do and what this looks like and the freedom life that you want to create because you're starting this business.
I like totally forgot we even had this, and I just now remembered it. I like went to check the link to make sure we had it. This is a really good video.
Ah!
Do you remember this? I filmed this a while back. It's the virtualsavvy.com/secret. It's literally just a little video that explains like our value first methodology, and it's kind of like the key to that relationship building thing. So go check it out. It's secret though. Don't tell anyone.
Oh, I didn't know we had
Really
a
good
pretty
video.
link. I knew that we had that video, but I didn't know that it was a special secret.
Yeah, it's just a
Oh,
video that talks about, like, it's that differentiator, you know? It's what takes somebody from just being a normal conversation to, like, an actual interested client, so really, really good, and we're gonna talk about that more in the challenge as well. Ashley had a question about the challenge. She said, "Do you have to have started your business?" No, 100% not. Like, whether you have a few clients or if you are literally found out yesterday what a virtual assistant business is, this challenge is for you. So definitely make sure you sign
Oh,
up.
and Ashley, on the tail end of that question, says she's looking into the Savvy system but wanting to save money. Can I tell them what happens?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Go
Okay,
for it.
so the
In
first
fact,
day.
we have the wait list too.
Yes, right. Yes, I want that link up there. So if you sign up for the wait list for the Savvy system, when we open cart, there is going to be a discount code that only happens twice a year. So make sure you sign up for that wait list if you've been eyeing the Savvy system, if you've been thinking about it, saving up money for it. We are going to send out a special discount code to save some money when we first open the doors to the Savvy system in January. So sign up.
And the Savvy system is a business in a box, honestly mind-blowing. Come on. I love it. Okay. Oh, this is a good question too, Ashley. Do you offer free or discounted services to start for experience? Should we get soap? Should we bring out Soapbox Abby?
Yes, I was going to ask Abby. I placed the soapbox for you to step on. Ashley, pay attention. Here she goes.
I would not recommend starting out with free or discounted services, and here's why, is because you are not going to get the real experience of a client. Like, you're not gonna get the true experience of being a VA. Here's why. When you decide to offer your services for free or discounted rates, you are going to be getting clients who will only pay $0 for your services, and people who will only pay $0 for your services are the worst. Literally, like, it is so crazy, you guys, like, the difference, and we have seen this time and time again, like, you will it and, like, when you first start your business, it's like the evolution of raising your prices, like, you start your business, let's say you're like, "Oh, I wanna start at, like, $15 an hour just because I'm really, like, stressed about charging more." Those people you get, even for, like, $15 an hour, some of them will be your neediest clients that are just like, I emailed you an hour ago and you didn't respond. And then, like, over time, you'll raise your rates. You might get to the point where you have like $3,000 packages, and those will be like the best clients who are the most understanding and the like and it's not a money thing. It's not like, oh, people who have more money. It's like there is something about people respecting your time enough to pay you for it. Like,
Yeah.
when someone truly values what you do, they will pay you to do it because it's that important and they see the value in it. And if someone's only paying you $0, they're not actually seeing the value in what you can do for them. And you're just not going to get a good experience. And so I would not recommend doing things for free. Now, with that said, I understand the desire. Like, why do you want to do that? Number one, we get scared. We think that people won't pay full price, which is not true. We think that we'll be able to get clients faster, which is sometimes true. Like, I mean, that is a reality. But again, it's that trade-off of like, what type of client am I getting if I'm doing it faster? If you decide to do something for free or inexpensive, my recommendation is that you really put a cap on it. Okay. So if you want to get experience in something, like, let's say you want to get experience in managing someone's Pinterest, don't just say, I'd like to manage your Pinterest for free. Like, maybe I would like to do a free audit and create a few free pins for you, or low cost. Like, please, I would recommend at least charging them something, right? Because there also is something really affirming in yourself when you get paid an actual paycheck. It's like, oh, like, I got paid real money to do this, right? Like, there's that aha moment, which is really big for you. But if you want to do something, put a cap on it. I'm going to create 20 pins, or I'm going to work for 1 week with your business, or I'm going to just this ongoing, I'm just going to work for free, you're devaluing yourself. And that means that your clients aren't going to value your work either.
Yeah. No, so true. I love what Aaron says in the comments. If you don't value your own work, no one else will. And I think that's so good. And kind of circle back to our topic today. One of the fears that many of you are probably facing is, how am I going to find clients? Where am I going to find clients? I'm not going to find clients, right? And facing that fear, naming it, right? And fighting it with the truth. I can promise you, and Abby already said earlier today too, there are clients out there that value you and want to pay you money. There are
Mhm.
still people out there that don't even know what virtual assistance is. Sometimes we get trapped in our bubble of virtual assistants and searching, and we're only in that bubble, and we don't understand that there's so much more out there. Our workforce is radically changing, and
Yeah.
virtual assistants are in need, and they want to pay legit good money for good workers that are going to provide value and do what needs to be done.
Yeah. We always say this too, like, I think getting clients is one of like, everyone's scared of getting clients, and I get it. Like,
Yeah.
that's, I mean, if I don't get clients, it's not gonna work. I'm not gonna make money, right? Like, it
Right.
is important that you are able to get paying clients.
Mhm.
But the reality is that we talk about it a lot like like pushing a snowball up a mountain, right? Like, it's like you're building your business, and it's like, okay, here we go. Like, I'm working so hard. I chose my business name. I chose my services. I all this thing. Like, man, am I to the peak yet? Like, where am I gonna? When am I actually gonna like start making money? And we call it the first client hump,
Yeah.
because once you can get over the peak
Mhm.
of getting your first paying client, right?
Mhm.
Um, One, you can just see. You're like, oh, this is real. Like, I'm actually at the summit. I can see the opportunity. I can see what's really possible. Sometimes when you're doing those first steps and you're choosing your name and your services, and you're like, what am I even doing? This is heavy and hard, and I see no fruit from it. But it's like, once you face that first client hump and you're like, I did it. Someone paid me money for this. My skills are valuable. Somebody will pay me to do this. Like, once you get past that first client hump and you can see, the awesome thing is that most virtual assistants can replace their income with 4 to 7 clients. So if you've gotten one, you're literally like a fourth of the way there
Yes.
for some of us of replacing your income, right? So like,
Mhm.
that's huge. Like, you're a fourth of the way there by just getting one reoccurring client, right? So now you're like, okay, now I have a method. I know what worked. Let me do more of what works to get
Mhm.
client 2, 3, and 4. And
Yep.
what's cool about that is that whatever worked for client one, whether it was a networking event or a referral or whatever, what's awesome is that if you do amazing work for client number one, if you talk to a VA who's been in business for 5, 10 years, and you
Mhm.
say, what's your number one way to get clients? What are they going to say? Rachel?
Referrals.
Referrals. Like,
Mhm.
doing a really great job is
Yep.
one of the best marketing tools that you have. There's a
Yep.
book I read way back in the day, called, like, I think it's called Guerrilla Marketing. It's
Oh, yeah,
literally
yeah. Uh-huh.
about word of mouth marketing. Like, word of mouth is the and will always be the most powerful form of marketing. And so just by doing an awesome job for the paying clients that you have, that word will spread,
Yeah.
right? And so people talk about their friends. If you are just a high quality, and high quality doesn't have to mean perfect. It doesn't mean that you have to nail it every time. Being communicative. Like, if when I talk to people who need VAs, and it's like, what are you really looking for? They're like, I just want somebody who like will communicate with me, who
Right.
will like submit stuff. Like, if I give them a deadline,
Mhm.
they'll get it to me on time. Like, timeliness and communication are
Mhm.
literally like two of the top things that you're like, oh, I need to know Canva. I need to know ConvertKit. No, you need to know how to like just respond to an email
Yep.
and keep people in the loop and not ghost people. Like, that is 99% of what
Mhm.
clients are looking for. So if you can do that, then
Yeah.
you've already put yourself so much above like most virtual assistants, I'm telling you. So yeah, I went off on a tangent, but
No, that was so good. I think sometimes we overthink it.
mhm,
Sometimes we think, oh, well, I can't design a website, or I can't set up somebody's Dubsado, or I can't do email marketing. I don't have any of those skills. Back the train up. Actually,
yeah,
it's not, those are not the skills that somebody needs. Somebody needs the skills that they're going to be a good communicator. Are they willing to learn? Are they willing to try? Are they willing to get things turned in to their best of the ability on in a time frame? Like, those are the types of skills. I mean, if you know how to do those extra things, That's awesome. But to get started, you really only need the simple skills to
Yeah.
start out with and skills that you already have. You don't have to go out and learn them.
And that's what's so cool. Like Amy said, I've got my business name, logo, branding. I've got to get over my perfectionist tendencies, go out and get that first client. Like the amount of skills you've had to do just to get to this point in your business. Like
Right.
you've already done, you've chosen your business name, logo, you've probably done research, you've probably, if you've done some branding stuff, like you already have skills because you've done it to already put that into your own business, right? And so like you do have the skills. It's
Mhm.
time to get yourself out there. And Amy, we are going to cheer so loud when you come back. Like, please
Yes.
write us an email or hit us up on Instagram. Let us know when you actually get over that first client hump.
Mhm.
And the challenge might be the place where you get the skills to be able to do that. But we want to celebrate with you because that's so exciting.
So exciting. I mean, this was a blast.
I know. I had a good time today.
I love that we brought this to the table, that we named it, faced it, and fought it. And I love that our people in the comments are doing the same thing. Shout out to y'all because you are the ones in the trenches right now, like trying to figure out how to do this. And you guys are going to figure out to do this and you are going to win. And we're going to be right there along with you, celebrating you. So thanks for showing up and participating with us.
Yeah. Have a great rest of the day and Merry Christmas, everybody.
Happy Christmas shopping, Abby. Have fun.